Hi, and welcome to Tremco Live, socially distant, technically connected. This is our opportunity to reach out to you virtually every Friday. We wanted to be able to reach out since we can't any longer invite you here to Cleveland for the time being. We want to be able to talk about construction trends and talk to you about your design challenges. So it gives you the opportunity to let us know what you want to talk about. I am Marcy Tyler, the Director of Building Science for Tremco.
And I am Paul Hoogenboom, the President of Tremco Construction Products Group. Quite a collection of companies, Marcy.
Quite a collection. So I'm very happy to be here with you as always and be able to have all those companies behind us and those feet on our street. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. It's a little rainy here, but as you know, it's May in Cleveland, and that could mean snow.
Yes.
So I think rain's good.
Rain is good. What was it, last Saturday? We woke up to snow?
We woke up to snow.
And Friday. It was Friday. I think we had snow Friday as well.
A couple days of snow.
Yeah, I think it's interesting when you live in a climate like we do. Weather can affect so many different things, like just being able to go out and mow the lawn. You know, there's all those months where we don't have to. And now we have to be strategic because it can be raining or snowing.
Yeah, we're lucky because we always think if it's raining or snowing here, it must be raining or snowing everywhere. And usually it's not, which is good for business.
Yes, very good. So each week as we come to you guys live with these segments, we want to be able to talk to you about certain industry trends, construction trends, and obviously your design challenges, as I mentioned. This week, we wanted to talk to you specifically about time-saving technologies. If you Google time-saving, if you Google construction delays, there's a whole bunch of different things that come up. A lot of different ways to solve them. At Tremco, we are going to be bringing you in future segments lots of ways that we want to help with that. What's great when we come up with these technologies is we don't compromise performance. So sometimes that can happen if you're trying to cut corners. We focus on our technologies where we won't do that. So we won't compromise performance. So in future segments, we'll be here talking about things like insulated concrete forms from Nidora, things like energy efficient brick, like new brick, and pre-applied air barriers and so much more. But today's focus is all about our Puma technologies. Our Puma technologies is something we wanted to talk to you today about because somebody actually brought that question to us and they wanted to know about the specific history of Puma with Tremco. So we'll get into that. As always, Paul and I are the only ones sitting here. We may have a guest at the end, but we want to make sure you all know about all the many resources that are out there available to you. And one of them is featured on this first slide, and it is Steve Pearson. He is the technical application specialist. He has so much knowledge when it comes to concrete. He's a great advocate for you, a great resource, and he can be found in a lot of our training videos, so check those out. As I mentioned, when you look at construction delays and you look at different things that are in the news today, obviously COVID is affecting and causing delays as well, right? So we know that those things exist. Weather, waiting on equipment, overbooked crews, just lack of trying to understand where you're at on a project or having unexpected changes or waiting on materials and things like that. So what we wanted to focus on today was specifically Puma and how it can actually help when there's a delay. A lot of times we find our products are being used because of that. I think you and I might have talked about how if it's raining like this, that's going to limit what you can use.
Yeah, you know, in this case, we're talking about a fluid applied material, Marcy, and standard convention normally says if you're doing something sensitive to the exterior climate, you need at least 3 days of good weather. A lot of times people want a solid week of good weather. And what happens if you're in a climate zone where that happens infrequently? I always think of, you know, Florida, where it can rain every day at 2 o'clock. Or you're in, you know, maybe you're out in Colorado, or who knows what comes over the mountain every night. So that unpredictability of weather, and I think the weather is getting more volatile as the years have gone on. So the ability to predictably get a clean window to work in is becoming harder and harder.
Absolutely, and I think, as you mentioned, that extreme nature of it too, right? You could have extreme highs, extreme lows, even occurring in one day.
Yeah.
So focusing on products that are durable is obviously something we want to be able to bring to you as well. So that's what's great about the Puma technology we're going to talk to you about. Is one of those things is that we've seen a lot of advances in this technology throughout the industry. So this is actually an article. Brian Porter, one of our reps, posted this on LinkedIn from our website, and it features an article that two of our colleagues, Stephanie Langle and Maha Nagra, wrote for the construction specifier. And it's about those advancements in waterproofing and using, I keep saying Puma, but that is our polyurethane methacrylate technology, where you've got durability and quick turnaround time is two of the key features, but we're going to go through a lot more throughout these slides.
Yeah. You know, I know you mentioned history, Marcy. You know, it's I think we go back to probably 1965 within the Tremco family of companies. That was the foundation of the MMA technology. Of course, we always had the polyurethanes.
Yeah.
And you know, much like a Reese's peanut butter cup, right, with the chocolate and the peanut butter. You know, the whole concept and idea of putting those two together and a best of probably started, I would say, what, late 1990s?
I think so. I think,
so yeah, over 20 years.
Yeah. Lots going into that. It's 21st birthday, right? If we were looking at 99. What's great when we look at that technology and how it's advanced through the years is we have so many different product options, and I think that goes to that versatility. So you've got roofing applications. So you can have that quick turnaround time and durability for a roof restoration or even replacement. Yeah. And the helipads. So if we're looking at the abrasion, the resistance you need for when a helicopter lands, I mean, that's amazing how these products can withstand it so much that it goes on bridge decks. And I think if we pulled up that old video, which I did not do, it has a tank going across it. So depending on what you're using, if you use something like bauxite as your aggregate, you can handle things like snow plows and even a tank going over the top.
What's interesting about the core of Puma, Marcy, is that it really is very much I would think of it as a flexible foundation on which there's a whole family of formulations built that go from low modulus to high modulus to different levels of hardness. And each of these applications require something different and oftentimes quite different. And over the last 20 years, each of these great examples that you're sharing up on the screen really has some, while they have the core properties of both the extreme durability and chemical resistance and the flexibility and elongation, they're very different properties that are tailor-made to each one of these unique applications.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that, because that's what we try to look at. It's like we're dialing in to what that application needs, and that gives us that ability to have something that can go on a planter, that it can go on a roof, or you can land a helicopter on it.
Yeah. And often that's really driven by our applicators and by our customers, where they say, I would really like, I've used Puma before, it gives me a fantastic result. I'd like to use it for a different application. And then we go to work to dial it in for that application. I think almost all of these innovations, and they keep coming, are really driven by our audience, by the field, where they want the Puma features and benefits, but they want it for a new application.
Yeah, that's what we want, this ability to work with you all and have this time together so that you can let us know what those design challenges you are facing and see what we can do with our portfolio. Something like Puma Flashing came from just that. We know that people are using hot rubberized asphalt in a lot of different areas. It works great. It's been around. It's a tried and true technology. But when you went up and over a curb in a flashing application, they wanted something like Puma. And so that really worked for us. So we definitely like that information that you guys provide on a regular basis.
And that flashing example, that's a good example, Marcy, of where a lot of times Puma can be used in a very surgical way, maybe not for the entire membrane because it's perhaps over-engineered if we did that. But if you get into those high wear, high stress parts of the job, that's often where you'll see Puma used in conjunction with other systems.
And I think that's where a lot of times, especially now, if you had experienced a construction delay or a weather delay, that's where that change might come in, a change to go to Puma, where maybe you weren't going to go. What's great is this isn't new, right? This is not a new technology for Tremco. This is something we've been looking at and working on, as you mentioned, since 1999. So it is celebrating its 21st birthday this year.
In order to even get to 1999, we probably had 30 years or more of history before that in the core MMA and in the core polyurethane. Right. So I think without having that 50+ year experience in both of those core platforms. It really took probably the better part of 30 years of having the two go side by side to develop the expertise of how do you bring them together.
That marrying of the polyurethane technology and the methyl methacrylate technology into what we now call Puma.
Yeah, but I think that was because I was pretty involved in that whole process on the proprietary resins that sit behind that. I think that was probably an 8 or 9 year journey. And that is an in-house resin that we have at this point, and was a very, very difficult journey about how to get the two to, you want the best properties of both, and you want the worst out.
Yeah.
And they all need to live together in something that our applicators are really going to love.
Yeah, that hybrid approach is something that gives us all that versatility on all these different types of projects. So it's been great to understand, spending time with Paul and some of our other industry colleagues like David Chapman, and getting that true history of this technology, and I've learned a lot. And so I know there's a lot of history buffs out there, a lot of you watching today, so we're going to provide you even more information in the future in an article about that history of where it came from. I think you guys would probably really enjoy that capability of reading up on that.
Yeah, there are two other names I'd like to mention. Of course, David Chapman, who's still a part of the Tremco family today, and David and I go back 20-some years. But from the very beginning was Ulf Eriksson and Wolgath Adamson. And Wolgath is still with us today. I think he's in his late 70s, but still running as hard as ever. And Ulf is retired. But those are in the Puma Hall of Fame. Those are I think Ulf and Wolgath are really the founders.
Puma Hall of Fame, I like that.
Yeah.
I like that. So as we continue to talk about Puma, and thank you for those Hall of Famers for bringing that to us, we're looking at versatile adhesion of this product. So there's a couple of pictures that you're looking at right now on screen, and one of them is from Corey Johnston. So he's one of our Tremco feet on the street. And there's a video that he has on LinkedIn all about an adhesion test that he is doing in a metal gutter area. So it goes back to that tenacious adhesion to so many different types of construction materials.
I know we think of a lot of these materials as fundamentally waterproofing membranes, but of course, you and I both know that substrate preparation and adhesion are often the Achilles heel of any coating. Or fluid applied membrane, and Puma has incredible adhesion as one of its core properties, and often is pretty forgiving of what substrate it's going over. Yeah,
that tenacious adhesion we always talk about, it's only going to be as good as your surface prep, right? So it is forgiving in a lot of instances, but we definitely want you to focus on how well you are prepping that surface. To know how well you prep that surface, we do recommend doing adhesion tests, and here is another video that you can find on our YouTube channel all about that adhesion pull test. In this case, we're getting about 260 PSI when we ran that test, and you will be breaking the concrete when you do that test.
That's pretty incredible.
It's incredible. So that's what I love about the versatility of this product and how we dial in for different types of applications. Next one we look at is, of course, our feet on the street in terms of technical support and training. So with all the feet that we have on the street, we wanted to make sure you were aware of all of that. There's a couple of other posts that I noticed. Kevin Baird mentioned that they did some training with Corey Johnston again, and they utilized some virtual training to get that training done in our current state. And then there's always a lot of different videos. And the other picture you're seeing there is Steve Gralla. So he is based in Florida. He was doing some training and we videoed that. I know this week, Tom Biller and Lee Morgan were out at the Medina Barns doing even more videoing and capturing, so we can share that in future segments as well.
Training is always important, Marcy, but it's very important with Puma. When you have a product that sets up that quickly, and with that need for speed, things can set up really fast on you, right? If you're not, if you don't really have your crew ready to go, and you sort of have a production line sort of process to it. So, you know, one of the terms we use is QAP, Qualified Applicator Program. So part of the history of Puma was really elevating our qualified contractor program and having an elite set of applicators. And I think we've carried that forward today, especially with the QAP program, the added training. But that is, I think, one of the unique things in Puma is that it's really a subset of the applicator base that has a very high level of training and authorization and support from us. And as you noticed, you introduced, who's the gentleman you introduced on your introductory slide?
Steve Pearson.
Steve Pearson is a great example of part of, I think, what sets us apart in the industry, Marcy, is that, really a best practices on any job startup. You're going to want to have one of our highly trained individuals with you to make sure things are getting set up right, your crews are getting set up right, you're getting the right production rates. As you saw, as you earlier showed Marcy, that tenacious adhesion, that means if you make a mistake, it's going to be really hard to get it off.
Yeah.
So having the Steve Pearsons of the world out there is as important as any of the chemistry we talk about today.
I'm glad you mentioned the quality applicator program, and we do have some questions coming in right now on that. So we will be providing additional information. So at the close of this segment, we will send an email out on Monday, and we'll make sure that we include that information of where to contact your local rep so that you can find out how you too can become a quality applicator and be a part of that program. Lots of training, lots of involvement. We have a lot of how-tos, a lot of checklists that you can follow, and it also comes with additional warranty capabilities. So you're definitely going to want to be a part of that. So when you think about a warranty and this product, think about us warranting wear, which I think is pretty incredible.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we talked a little bit about that fast return to service, and that is so true with this technology. Here's a couple other posts that I noticed throughout the last couple of months of some of our industry partners. So we've got Restore Construction Group. They did the Diplomat Beach Resort, and they utilized technology on a lot of those balcony pedestrian areas. And then we have another one down below there from the Southeast Restoration and Fireproofing in Atlanta, where they're talking about a Marriott and the progression of their photos there on these amenity decks. So lots of great applications that we see on a regular basis. And that return to service is amazing. I mean, you can do this in one day.
Yeah, and I think that's one, typically in a non-Puma world, you're really looking at 3 to 5 days. And of course, you need the weather windows and so on to go with it. You need to disrupt whatever that public access is or private access is for that 3 to 5 days. And I know you mentioned 1 day. I think you're going to share a few examples with us that we do work in a mere few hours.
Few hours, yes.
So I look forward to hearing about that, Marcy.
Yes. We definitely will talk about that. We mentioned weather earlier as well. So rain, obviously, if you've got rain or moisture, we're going to want to work with your technical reps to understand what those acceptable conditions are. But when you're looking at cold temperatures, like Andrew Finley, who posted this, he was working in -5 degrees on his AlphaGuard Puma installation. So you can see some of that detailing that he did there. So it's great to have something that is so flexible, that stays flexible even when it's cold.
And there are versions. I noticed you have up there 20F. We have versions that go to -20F. So we have the ability to dial in anything from -20F to well above 100F. And that, I think, is one of the really cool things about Puma, is the ability to, on one formulation base, be able to handle all those different climates from very negative, very dry, to very hot, very humid, very forgiving foundation.
Yeah, from the Arctic to the desert, we've got something for you. What's interesting with this technology, as Paul mentioned, is when we go below 20, we want to just make sure that you are cognizant of the fact that if there's frost or other issues, you're only going to be as good as that substrate prep. Yeah. And then you can do what we like to say, make that hot. So you're going to add in more catalyst and give you that ability to set up for different temperatures. But what we love to show is the fact that it's going to stay elastic. So we've got this video here that is showing the difference between that polyurethane methacrylate and your MMA technology. You can see it's going to continue to keep stretching and elongating, which is great on a variety of different applications. But it can move the building, handle crack rigging. Now we're even going to go to -20 to show that flexibility of Puma technology.
You know, I've always been amazed at Puma's flexibility. Their flexibility is, at some point, it's really jaw-dropping. Most materials, the really don't handle cold weather well.
No, they don't. And that's what really makes this unique, you know, even further. Extreme durability, we mentioned that several times so far. And what I love is hot off the presses, we have a new blog, the Build Meets World blog by Eric Laboda. So just another one of our colleagues and our feet on the street. He is a co-worker of Steve Pearson. So you would find Eric on projects and training for Puma related projects. And this is his blog all about parking garage waterproofing with Puma technology. So as I mentioned, they just posted that today, May 15th at 9:30 this morning. So some great information there. We also have another blog that Stephanie Langle wrote. It's your 5-minute guide to PMMA and Puma technologies. She really focuses on that speed, the versatility, and durability, which we've talked about. And we want to make sure that you understand that we have hybrid solutions. So we've talked a lot about our ability to kind of dial into different applications. And in this case, we do a hybrid solution for your parking garage. We're putting in the more durable Puma where you need it, in the turning lanes and the helical ramps and things like that. And maybe in your parking spaces, you're using your polyurethane technology. So once again, check out these blogs. They're quick reads, but they give you a lot of great information on how we can turn things around very quickly.
It's a good example, Marcy, where if you have an existing application where most of the membrane's still intact, function the way you want, but the high wear areas are no longer meeting their service life, then you can just restore, just like you see in that parking garage example. You don't have to restore the whole deck. You can just get to the high wear areas. And we see that a lot, like in the ticket stitters,
Yes.
you know, wherever you have a high turning radius, wherever you have cars are stopping and you get a lot of chemicals and so on coming off that car. So that's a great way to, you can be really surgical.
And make sure that you're utilizing it right where you need it. And I think that's what a key part of it. So we can go over existing membranes and provide some additional wear and use out of that from a restoration perspective. We also have a lot of different options from an aesthetics perspective. So we have different coats. So if you need to highlight the edges of your roof deck to make sure it's a cautioned area, or if you want to put lines on your helical ramp or in any other walk space, we have clear top coats where you can use colored quartz. So a lot of different aesthetic solutions here. This helipad is actually a project that we did in Colorado with AAA waterproofing, and we're going to talk about a couple of their projects. I know this was one of those projects that was done in a few hours, and if I'm remembering correctly, we want to make sure we have 1 hour before a helicopter lands, and that's incredible. So 1 hour after completing it, you can land a helicopter on it.
Yeah, and I think this is a great example of where it's not uncommon that we'll be given a helipad at midnight and we're returning it at like 4 a.m., 4 hours later,
Yeah.
and there's probably a helicopter coming in. We even have stories of, you know, we asked for an hour and there's times we've not gotten an hour.
Yes, we want an hour, but there's been times where we haven't gotten an hour.
Yeah.
That's for sure. So once again, just lots of different opportunities for you to engage with us, lots of different resources that are available to you through our blogs and our YouTube channels where you can see case studies. You can see all those feet on the street that are here to support you each and every day. We wanted to feature today this Catalyst Health project in Denver, Colorado. It's another project we did with AAA waterproofing. We've got 2 more feet on the street. So we've got Mike Bader, who is a regional tech rep, super informative. You may have seen him do demos at World of Concrete. He's amazing, and he's in pictures here. He's checking temperature, he's checking moisture content, and he would have checked adhesion as well. We have Janelle Roberts, who's featured at the top here from AAA Waterproofing, and then we have Andrew Caprio, who is your technical sales representative. And at this point, we'd like to welcome Andrew to the show.
Hello. So did you just want me to talk through a little bit on the project, or?
Yeah, why don't you let us know? I know you did that helipad as well with AAA Waterproofing. So is that the story where the helicopter may have landed a little less than what you wanted? Did it land a little earlier than you had planned?
That's right. That was a private hospital, so there were no neighboring helipads for their helicopter to land on. So they were having to shut down a nearby city park, and with that comes a lot of preparation and lead time. So we were getting kind of close to the close of that lead time on having the park available. due to weather constraints that we were facing with snow. So we were able to finish the coating in 2 days. We were supposed to be allotted 4, but because of that snow, we lost that time. And then we were able to finish the coating by midnight, and right around 1:30-ish, they had a helicopter land on that helipad. So it was put to the test. We've gone back on a yearly basis just to see how the coating is held up. And after 500 plus landings, there's after a good washing, there's really no blemishes on the coating.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah, it is.
That's great. We also wanted you to talk to us today about this Catalyst Health. This is one of our featured case studies that you can see on the Tremco YouTube channel. I think you mentioned the time frame of this parking garage. I think you were talking about getting 1,800 square feet done per hour, if that is correct.
Yeah, so this was a situation where there was supposed to be a split slab waterproofing installed in the parking garage prior to the topping slab being put in. That did not happen, and there was retail space below. So we were asked to come in there with Puma because they wanted something that was going to last longer than your standard 5 years on a urethane coating. So we had limited time. This was a hospital parking garage. We couldn't shut it down too long. So we were able to get, it was just under 2,000 square feet. We had Mike Bader come into town. We were able to get it from primer to top coat finished in 1 day. So that was a big achievement and really put Puma on the map in Colorado because of how fast we were able to get that done.
And that's great when you're dealing with something like a parking garage in that type of retail space, because they don't want to shut down for very long at all. So it really does help them keep their service.
One, the combination of Marcy, where you get incredibly durable for vehicular traffic, and you're also getting an absolute premium waterproofing, and it's all in the same system.
That's great. Andrew, thank you for coming in and joining us today. You got any other Puma jobs you want to tell us about coming up?
We've got a couple big parking garages coming up in Salt Lake City that are exciting for us. And then in town here in Colorado, we're actually going to be working on the paramedics pad over at Vail Valley Hospital. So some good work coming up and stuff we're excited about.
How has it been during this COVID situation? I know yesterday you were out and about on a lot of job sites. How's it been for you?
It's been a lot more tech rep role for sure. We're not really going into offices, meeting with people. We're staying socially distanced, but the work that's being done out in the field has to be inspected. So I've just been going around from job site to job site, making sure things are being put in and the owners are getting what they're paying for.
That's great. Well, thank you for joining us once again. We really appreciate you being able to be on here. If you want to know more about this Catalyst Health project, you can look at our YouTube channel. Once again, it gives you some more detail. It goes into the application, and there's a lot of other ones featured in there as well. There's another one on a pool deck with Steve Pearson as well, talking about the installation, and that was from Cleveland. So lots of different opportunities there. We have a couple questions coming in right now. One of them was about warranty. So they're asking about, what is our typical warranty? And I would say I don't know if we say there's a typical warranty. We'd like to know what it is that you're looking at from a performance perspective. Yeah,
in heavy vehicular wear, where oftentimes the customer hasn't been able to get 6 or 12 months, right? Whether it's a severe turning radius in a bus station, whether it's an unloading station in a waste material handling, we're typically at least 10 years. And that's where the customer probably hasn't gotten 6 to 12 months, and they're in somewhat disbelief. And then you go all the way on the roofing side of things, where you can really go out 20, 30, 40 years, whatever your desired life of the building is, and we can design a warranty for you of that duration. But I think what always gets people's attention, Marcy, is getting 10 years. Helipad's a great example. A standard urethane system probably isn't, they're going to give you 1 or 2 years at the most.
And what's great with these products is that they fuse together. So when you go out and do a patch or repair, it's that seamless solution. That's a great thing that you mentioned there, Marcy. One of the things that makes Puma really, really special is that each layer bonds to itself,
And then, as you mentioned, when we're doing maintenance, and you perhaps have to re-top coat an area or repair area, you're getting that chemical bond. And that's one of its unique properties, both in creating the original membrane, and it makes it very easy to maintain.
One of the other features, and I know it was actually mentioned in the Catalyst Health project, is that you don't need to reinforce it. And I think that throws people off because they feel like reinforcing it is required to give it durability. And it actually restricts its movement, and we showed that in that video. So it's not necessary. Typically, you want to reinforce something that doesn't have good tensile strength, and you don't need to for this.
Yeah, you're not getting 600% elongation if you reinforce it, right? So, and that speaks to, again, you know, its original vision was something that would be highly flexible and be able to handle crack bridging and things of that nature. It's also unique because it handles constant vibration, and there's a lot of applications where, for instance, if you're doing the waterproofing in a metro station, all that vibration of the trains coming through, and you have all of that, the rocks on there going up and down. It's remarkably durable in a heavy vibration environment, which will often fail even a high performance coating. So it's got some very unique capabilities in a very, very aggressive environment like that.
It's great that you mentioned that the vibration in the parking garage. If you're watching this, you guys are paying attention to that in a parking garage, and you're hearing, you know, you can hear the movement of those garages when cars go over it.
You
So
can feel, yeah,
you can hear it, you can feel it. So
and there's a lot of aggressive chemistry going on there too, right?
Yeah.
And that's, again, that's always been a core property of the MMAs. They do very, very well in incredibly aggressive chemical environments. You know, I mentioned a waste transfer station a minute ago, Marcy. Probably couldn't be a more harsh environment in terms of the high torque, you know, the loads and everything. And then, of course, from a chemistry standpoint, very, very aggressive. You also find Puma in sewer system repairs. So again, you have incredibly aggressive gases and things of that nature. In the high wear elements in high return to service, that would be like manhole covers and things of that nature. You're going to see a lot of Puma used in those applications. You need a hot, fast return to service, but you got to be able to withstand some nasty stuff down there.
And I know some of the early projects we did back in like 2001 and 2002 were just that, some of those waste management applications. And so as new as this technology feels, it's been around for long enough for us to understand its true ability to be durable throughout the life of its intended use.
So, well, Marcy, we covered a lot of ground today.
We covered a lot today.
On one of my absolute favorites, Puma.
Yes. So thank you for joining us today on our live broadcast. This is just one of those technologies that we're looking at from a time savings perspective. We look forward to engaging with you further on other technologies that save time as well.
Yeah. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.